The Mare of Easttown takes place just outside of the greatest city in the world, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the birthplace of America. And Mare is a divorcee living at home with her mother, her daughter, and her grandchild, whose father passed away. She's a police detective who's best known for hitting this big game-winning shot in a high school basketball game years ago. It's coined her the nickname Lady Hawk, a nickname that she absolutely hates. And she gets woken up early by a neighbor named Mrs. Carroll who calls her for basically every little detail, even though she's a detective, she's not a police officer, and Mare tries to explain this to her. But Mrs. Carroll has called Mare because her granddaughter was upstairs getting ready to take a shower, and when she looked outside, there was a peeping Tom. They do have a security camera, but they never installed it. She tells Mrs. Carroll that she'll be on the lookout for the guy, and then she heads to work, where she gets a phone call from her ex-husband. And if you think you don't like your ex, her ex lives right behind her. In fairness to him, though, he got a great deal on the house, so what do you want him to do, not buy it? It's not like she has a bad relationship with the guy, but his life is going pretty great and her life is kind of stagnated. She doesn't answer the call, however, deciding to go into the station. And they have a new officer there that day. It's Officer Trammell's first day on the job. So let's give a warm welcome to Officer Trammell, everybody. Okay. Mare then lets everybody know about the suspicious guy prowling around the neighborhood just to keep an eye out for him. But then she gets called into the police sergeant's office because on the TV, there's a woman demanding action for her missing daughter. And she's really making the police department look bad. She's making them look like they're lazy and they weren't doing their job, which Mare takes offense to because she knows this woman. This woman was on that basketball team when Mare hit the shot. And Mare has done a lot for her, even though she doesn't accept it and believe it. Mare tells the sergeant that the victim, Katie Bailey, was a known drug abuser. She also had a history of prostitution. She's probably lying at the bottom of a river right now. But the sergeant does say you don't know that. In fact, after a year, we don't know anything. Go back to the file and start over. She then heads off to buy a turtle tank for her grandson, but gets a phone call from that new officer, Officer Trammell. He's at the scene of a burglary, and they're pretty sure they know who did it. It's the victim's brother. He's a drug addict. Trammell needs her out there to process the scene. But as she's heading over to the scene of the crime, she gets a phone call from her ex-husband again. Gotta give the guy credit, he's persistent. And she kind of chastises the fact that her ex was the one who brought her grandson the turtle. And he has had trouble with animals in the past, taking care of them. He's in the process of telling her that he asked his girlfriend to marry him, but then all of a sudden she sees the drug addict brother walking down the street. So she hangs up on her ex and goes chasing after the guy into his house. And in the process of the chase, she ended up twisting her ankle pretty badly. But Officer Trammell meets her there, and they're waiting the guy out. I should say Mare's waiting him out because Trammell is queasy around blood, and this guy's hand is all cut up, so he's tracked blood around the house. Eventually, though, he agrees to come out. He does tell Mare where the stolen memorabilia is, and as they're taking him to the car, his sister comes out of nowhere and cold cocks him. She's just extremely upset because this guy threw his whole life away. His family, Pico turned off the heat in his house. He's got nowhere to stay, and his sister won't let him stay there. She instructs Trammell to take him to the hospital, get him patched up, and then take him to a church, drop her name, they'll have a bed for him. When she gets home that day, her mom is sitting there along with her cousin who's a priest, but they let her know that her ex-husband proposed to his girlfriend Faye. And they're all going over his house that night to celebrate. She's not too thrilled about it, especially when her ex-husband walks in the house and is looking for oregano. He's a little surprised that Mare is home from work that early, and she confronts him about the proposal, and he says, well, I tried to call you a few times. She's got plans anyway that night. She's not going because they're having a celebration for the basketball team that she hit the shot with. Although before she leaves, she does ask her daughter Siobhan if she knew about her dad getting engaged, and she says, yeah, of course. I helped plan it. She asks her, so everyone's going over there, no one's coming to my ceremony, but Siobhan reminds her that she didn't want anyone at the ceremony, calling it stupid. So Mare hobbles off with her twisted ankle to get ready, and the rest of her family heads over to her ex-husband, Frank's house, where Siobhan and her friends are talking about the weed that they're going to get that night, because that girl likes to party a little bit. Before heading to the gym, though, she heads over to her friend Lori's house. Lori was also on the team, and they're talking about who's all going to be there. But then eventually, the woman from the TV gets brought up. Her name's Dawn. And Lori reminds Mare that it's nothing personal, she just misses her daughter. This woman's also dealing with cancer, so Lori tries to remind Mare it's not all about you. When they head to the gym, though, and they're announcing the names, Mare can't help herself, telling Dawn how much she's done, how much she tried to find her daughter. And Dawn is getting more and more agitated. She's ready to punch Mare, but cooler heads prevail. Everybody just walks out and gets a big standing ovation. The after party for this is at a bar, and when Mare's trying to get a drink, she gets hit on by a guy named Richard, who wrote a pretty famous book and finds Mare very attractive. So Mare decides to let him ride the Lady Hawk for the night. But afterwards, when they're putting their clothes back on, Richard does ask her out to an actual date, And Mare says, I think this is kind of just a one-time thing. He's got a bunch of his books sitting on the table, though, and Mare asks for one, and they decide to exchange a book for the promise that she'll maybe call him. But as she's driving back to her house, in an alley, she sees a guy that fits the description of the Peeping Tom, just standing there. Although, when she backs her car up, the guy is gone. She marks down the location of the guy and then heads home, where she's still getting crap from her mom for showing up late, even though it's her house. And she showed up at good timing because her grandson Drew was going to the bathroom. It allows Mare to tuck him in, and he lets her know that he named his turtle Kevin after his dad. It's a really nice scene, all except for the fact that this kid has Dallas Cowboys sheets right outside of Philadelphia. That is a big no-no. That's disgusting. We don't do that. Now, this show doesn't just focus on Mare. It also focuses on Erin. She's a teenage mother with an infant son, and she's also a cautionary tale for all the young kids out there that if you're going to have sex at a young age, and you're going to do it with a guy that clearly has no ambition or future, he's just the first dude to look at you, don't be a fool. Wrap the tool. Because Dylan is the baby daddy, and he's kind of a scumbag. The baby needs to get ear surgery, or else he risks getting hearing loss. And Dylan was supposed to take care of it, but tells Erin, I don't have the $1,800 deductible. And if I'm supposed to pay more money, it's supposed to go through the court. It causes a big fight because that could take forever. It's time that they might not have. So Erin really wants Dylan to take care of it, and Dylan really isn't motivated to. On top of that, Dylan's new girlfriend, Brianna, tells Erin, stop texting my man. She's very adamant about this, even though Erin points out, he's the father of my child. I kind of have to text him. Now, Erin lives with her father, who is supporting her baby with things like diapers and formula, although he can't stand Dylan either because he feels like the father of the child should support the child. When looking at her dad, though, you kind of figure that this might be Dylan in about 20 years. Her dad asks her about the surgery, and she lies to him, saying that Dylan agreed to pay for it. Erin, though, is letting a lot of stuff slide off her back because she's talking to a new guy named Brendan, and she's meeting him for the first time that night at a party in the woods. Right before going to the woods, though, she heads to her friend's house. They start talking about the things that her and Brendan have talked about through text. One of them being that he wants her to start dancing again. She tells her friend that was like the one thing where me and my mom really had something in common. Her friend does warn her, though, that going to the woods is risky because Dylan's girlfriend, Brianna, is probably going to be there. But that is a risk that she's willing to take. So her friend's mom helps do Erin's makeup, so she's prepared. When she gets to the woods, though, she gets a text to meet up with Brendan, although as she's waiting for her, Brianna and all of her friends are standing right behind her because it was a setup. There was never really a Brendan. There was just Brianna screwing with her. And they're mocking her about all the things that they shared through text message as she's got somebody recording the whole thing. And it's not like Dylan isn't there. Oh, he's there. He's watching it all go down, even adding to the harassment. And Erin is just mortified that he would allow this to take place and the fact that she got duped. But that's when Brianna takes it one step further, punching her repeatedly as Dylan just sits there and watches. Erin's only saved when Siobhan and her girlfriend and a couple of other friends show up at the same party and are like, what the hell are you doing? They ask Erin if she's all right and she needs help, but Erin just walks off. The next morning, though, Mare gets a phone call because Erin's body was found with no clothes on in a creek in the woods, a huge gash in her head, and she's dead. Thanks for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Like the video if you liked it. Hit thumbs down if you don't. Be nice in the comments section. Nasty comments hurt my feelings. I work hard on these. If I make a mistake, it happens. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen, it'll be up soon. Sharing is caring. Put it on your MySpace page or your away message. And check out my podcast, Scene Invaders, wherever you listen to podcasts.